Whenever a Nigerian business owner hears the word tax, the first thing that comes to their mind is stress. Now, to improve all of that and hopefully move Nigeria forward, the president created a tax reforms committee. In this video, I'm going to show you how these new tax laws aim to simplify the tax systems, reduce harassment, and help small business owners in Nigeria, just like you and I. Okay, so let me kick this off by saying two things, right? The first thing is, in any society, in any country, in any world, the economy of that country is heavily supported by small businesses, right? Keyword here, small businesses. In this new tax bill, in a way, they've kind of redefined what a small business is in Nigeria. Somebody asked me this question before, and I always use the number or number of employees. So number in terms of revenue or how many employees you have. So I'm going to explain all of that here. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I am not a tax professional, right? I'm not a tax professional. I'm not a policy expert or a government policy expert. Now, the first benefit of this tax law is the threshold, the small business exemption threshold has increased, right? And what I mean by that is, before, a small business is a business that does between 0 to 24.9 million naira, okay? That business doesn't pay any form of corporate income tax. So with this new tax act or law, it has increased that threshold to 100 million naira. So basically, you can make 0 to 99.9999, however you want to count it, and not pay corporate income tax, right? There are certain caveats to it, but that's the general overview of that particular bill. And it's a huge advantage for us. And I will use an example to explain. I just want to talk about this here, that this bill comes, I keep calling it bill. This tax law comes into effect January 2026. So as time goes on, we should also be aware of how these things will be implemented. I have an idea or an inkling of how they're going to do it based on what was said in some of the interviews with the chairman of this tax reform. And it's a bit exciting. You can now earn from 0 to 99.9 and not pay capital income tax, okay? Now, why is this important? If your business does, let's say 37 million, right? Let me just use that example. At the moment, over the course of a year, your business does 37 million. Out of that 37 million, you pay 20 million in your cost or expenses, right? Profit, simple formula is revenue minus cost, right? That will give you your profits. Your corporate income tax on that profit would be 3.4 million naira. So your profit, 37 minus 20 is 17 million naira. You will pay a corporate income tax on that particular profit of 3.4 million naira. Again, this is very general. This is very overview. There are certain things you can do to minimize or even increase your corporate income tax. Is your business. It's up to you, right? But that's the gist of it. With this, when this new tax law comes into effect, that 3.4 million, you don't need to pay to the government. The government has said they don't want that money from you. Keep it. Go and use that money to invest back in your business. Use that money to invest back in your business. Use that money to employ people, or use that money to expand. Just that money, we're giving it back to you because we know that in the long run, when you make more money, you will give us more money. So the whole end goal or end game here is they want you to find doing business easy. And when you find it easy, you then come back to pay them more tax, right? Saying it like this, you would think it's a bad thing, but it's not. You need the tax system in the country to work for you to enjoy the country. You can't escape it. One of the reasons why we're suffering today is because our tax system is hugely corrupt and hugely failed. And they speak about this, and I'll show you later on in this video. The next benefit is something that they've introduced called the development levy. Now, from my understanding, the development levy is just a combination of multiple taxes. So in the introduction of this video, I told you that there are certain taxes that are actually duplicated. You pay it twice, right? And people that have shops, people that have bakeries, things like that, they have all sorts of taxes that they also pay, right? Well, that's more of the local, that's more on the local government side of things. But my hope, even though they've not called this out explicitly, but my hope is this development levy kind of covers all of that. Okay, so development levy is 4% of your what's it called now, accessible profit. So before other things, you are taxing that particular profit. Immediately know what your profit is, give us 4% of that. And 4%, to be fair, is not a lot. The only thing is that 4%, it must come back and benefit me, in the sense where good roads, good electricity, cheaper cost of raw materials, all of that. And again, that's the whole point, right? That's the beauty of theory. It sounds so fascinating to think and dream these things. Is the practical side of things that I really hope they do. But that's pretty much the development levy. Now, another thing is, as a small business, again, remember now, small businesses are 0 to 100 million or 0 to 99.9 million. Once you have an annual revenue of that, you are also exempt from development levies. You don't have to pay any development levy. The next one is zero VAT exemption. So we are supposed to pay 7.5% VAT on all purchases, right? That's typically how it works. But if you run certain type of businesses, you are exempt from VAT, and then you can also claim back VAT as well. There's a caveat to this where you need to speak to a tax professional to understand this more. You have things like basic food, educational materials, health and medical services, exports. Yeah, so this goes back to the video I recorded earlier about business ideas that you can start from Nigeria. So exports, except oil and gas. Gee, I wonder why. Now, something caught my attention, right? And again, I'm going to say this as a caveat because I am not a tax professional, right? I'm not a tax professional. I'm not a government policy expert. But when this law comes into effect, if you start a business, right, that is focused on providing some form of basic goods and services, or essential goods and services, you are automatically exempt from VAT, right? If that business does a turnover of less than 100 million, you are also exempt from capital income tax, right? So what I'm seeing here is you can start a new business, make up to 99.9 million naira, and not pay tax. Well, not pay. You still have to pay tax. You have to pay personal income tax if you pay yourself a salary. You have to pay as you earn tax if you employ people. But again, online businesses, we don't really need to employ people like that. But the thing is, you also need to find an online business that can work as a essentials goods and services provider business. So an online business, maybe in education or something like that. Anyway, I'm not going to give you guys too many ideas. And also speak to a tax professional about this, please. And obviously pay your tax. I'm not telling you not to pay tax. Please pay your tax, right? Our tax works for us. Now, I mentioned this earlier. The reason why this whole tax law might not work is because of corruption. The reason why it's currently failing is because of corruption. And when I was doing my research on this, an amazing journalist actually asked the question that this is going to be an issue.
Limit human interaction. Imagine you can do all your tax affairs without knowing where the tax office is. Nobody's going to ask you for a bribe.
Now, the one thing I want to point out there is the key theme of how they plan to curb corruption is through technology, right? Through use of technology and things like that. And I agree. It is this lack of data and lack of proper data capture, proper data analysis, proper data monitoring that actually got us into this mess in the first place. So leveraging technology is just the smart way to go. It's really just the smart way to go. I'm excited to see how it plans out. I'm excited to see how they plan to roll it out. I'm excited to see the outcome of this. I'm excited to see whether this would last after a certain action has taken place. If you know, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really excited to see how they bring this to life. In theory, it sounds like a good idea. In theory, the one key thing I like about this idea, it puts money back into the pockets of small businesses. The truth of the matter is, a lot of these small businesses currently are not registered or pay this tax, So there's that. You can continue. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I know for a fact that once systems are put in place, they begin to pursue people. And it's already happening in other sectors. So I think our sector is, well, not our sector in like a small business sector is next. Anyways, that's enough from me. If you have a Nigerian business and you're just kind of wondering how to navigate certain things in a Nigerian business, you're trying to avoid failure, don't worry. That one, I got you. I have a video that talks about my experiences with failure, how I've maneuvered it and things like that. So you can go and watch that next after this. All the resources I use for my research, well, all the key resources, I'll put them in the description, so you can also take a look at it. And if you are interested in growing Nigerian businesses or how to market or sell to Nigerians online, offline, things like that, and you've not subscribed yet, you know what to do. Like, subscribe. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.